Hey, good morning, Mike. I thought I'd make you a video, just a little bit easier for me to get some thoughts out than a lot of chat back and forth. A lot of men ask me this question and make the same kind of, not error, but kind of false conclusion in their understanding that if I focus on me, I can't give her energy, I can't hold her hand, I can't do all that stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm saying at the end of the day, what your wife wants to feel is your warmth, your appreciation, your acceptance. She wants to feel valued. She wants to feel treasured. She wants to feel celebrated and chosen and invited. She wants to feel like you see her deeply, that you love what you see, that you don't need her to change or be something else. There's a whole host of things that your wife wants to feel, and holding her hand is just one picture of that. But here's the thing. If you hold her hand just as an act of holding her hand, but you don't fix the stuff inside that is a blockage for her feeling that warmth from you, well, she's not going to feel any different. She's still going to complain. She's still going to be irritated, because just holding a woman's hand when she says this kind of thing to us is to try to love her with our brain. It's kind of like if you told AI what love looks like, and you punched all that into a computer, and then you said, okay, computer, love me. It could give you the tokens, the external tokens of love and appreciation. It could do mechanical things, but you wouldn't necessarily feel loved, because there isn't an organism, a being behind that. It's just following programming. So what I'm advocating to you is that you need to work on your inner regard for Mike. Not at the expense of your wife, but in order to share that with her. So I want you to think about yourself like a tank of sorts. Let's just say you're a 500-gallon tank of something we call unconditional high regard, which is the regard for self and others that is not based on merit, not based on performance, not based on behavior. It's based on believing that the essence of that person is divine, really, that they're worthy of appreciation, that all people are worthy of being held as having value and worth and significance the moment that they exist, not after they achieve, not after they check the boxes, but just because they are. And so that power, unconditional high regard, is extremely life-giving and life-changing. And so what your wife would like to feel is your high regard for her, that you see her this way. But if your tank is not full as a man, and it starts with how you feel about you, you'll keep trying to love your wife out of a tank that has a hole in it. And you'll have a hard time giving her those things because you want those things from her. Now, in the long run, she needs to feel those from within herself also. And so part of what you're experiencing in her and what she's longing for, which is why she's even gazing upon another affair partner, is we all chase this feeling of being valued and worthy for love in other people, right? And so she's saying, well, if you would give it to me, I wouldn't have to go to this affair partner. That's complete horseshit, right? The reality is she needs to learn to give it to herself. However, that's a process we all go through in a relationship like marriage. We enter marriage basically with this kind of back and forth, give and take, and it's a relationship where we are trying to mutually meet each other's needs and fill that empty tank. And you just run out of runway in a relationship. You end up learning it doesn't work because we're both empty. And so love has to transition from this eros, which is a very transactional, idol-based way of living, where you try to keep appeasing your idol so they give you the stuff that you need, and you learn that two empties cannot make a whole. And then the relationship has to transition from eros love to agape love, or unconditional high regard. And that is a love that's self-sourced, which means you have to be able to love your wife for reasons that spawn and are born in yourself, not in her. And she needs to do likewise, but this does not happen at the same time. It happens in a sequence. And so this point in your marriage where you are, this is the opportunity where men have to grow in this agape love or unconditional high regard, where they have to learn how to be a battery source or to fill that tank themselves. They have to be able to fill that tank for themselves, not for her benefit, for your benefit, because you will not actually fill it in a meaningful, proper way if you're filling it for someone else's benefit. You have to start saying, well, hey, I am worthy of the same things. Just like her, I'm a human being that was born with value and worth and significance. My life has to matter to me. Now, a lot of people cannot separate what I'm saying from this idea of selfishness. I want you to put a hyphen instead between self and ish. It's self-ish, meaning, yeah, yourself has to be whole. It has to be in a healthy place. It has to be in good shape for you to be able to share self with another person in a way that's meaningful to them. And so what I'm suggesting you do there is focus on building the heat within yourself. We use that furnace metaphor. You have to stoke the furnace of unconditional high regard, not to warm her, but to warm you. Now, when you warm you, I promise, if you're really doing a good job with that, you're warming your own heart, you're improving the regard you have for you, it will change how you relate to others. It will naturally result in warmth, kindness, appreciation, acceptance, the release of judgment, the release of resentment, the release of bitterness and anger towards your wife. And she will feel that. And the natural thing to do then will become to make gestures towards her that express that. And that's when you're holding her hand, but you're not holding her hand because she said, please hold my hand. You're not holding her hand as a way to keep your marriage from just being destroyed. You're holding her hand because it's the clearest, most authentic expression of who you are. And so what I'm trying to lead you towards is to have a transformation experience that doesn't just teach you a bunch of tactics to try to keep a failing marriage afloat. Why? Because if we were to talk a year from now and you're still doing that 2 years from now, you'll be divorced, you'll have half your assets, you'll see your kids half the time, and it will because you focused on her, because you focused on externals, because you focused on tactics and strategies to try to convince her of something, and that something is not actually something that has substance yet. And so if you really want to gain a woman's attraction, especially one who's giving energy away or dabbling, you have to be a transformed man. You have to be like a nuclear fission or fusion heat source within yourself. You have to live your absolute best. And again, it's not for her benefit, it's for your benefit. And women want to be in a relationship with a man who's living like that, right? The reason they chase affairs, the reason they chase other men is because when they see us living basically with just a dull glow, like we're barely hanging on, that's not attractive. We don't have anything for her except frustration and angerness and bitterness that's coming out of us because we really feel that way about self. We're disappointed with how life is going. We're disappointed with the kind of way we're showing up every day. And what do men do when they feel that way? They blame other people, primarily their romantic partner. And so you don't have to stop being warm. You do have to have boundaries in a relationship where a woman is giving energy another way. And that doesn't mean you punish her. You don't do mean-spirited things that are vindictive, that withhold kindness and warmth and appreciation from her. You just simply let it be known that you're not going to give husbandly energy to a woman who's giving wifely energy to another man. That sounds like that's your value. That's not everybody's. And so you ask yourself, hey, can I still be warm? Can I still be kind? Can I still appreciate a woman and simply not give her a level of support that is exclusive to what I would give to a monogamous romantic partner? Why? Because I don't share that with women who are sharing that with someone else. And that's where I think you got a little bit of room to grow, where you don't yet see that you can be a man filled to the capacity with love, this agape love, and still have clear boundaries for yourself about what the expression of that love looks like, and that the expression of love is one thing, right? A lot of men in the world and in our community misunderstand unconditional high regard as being a feeling. It's not. Other men misunderstand it as being love without boundaries. It's not. It's choosing what you're going to believe about the person despite their behavior, but it is absolutely not tolerance for any behavior. It's also not a need to feel warm and flowery towards a person at all times, right? So if a woman is giving energy to another man and you feel irritated by that, that's okay. That doesn't mean you're not holding her in high regard. What holding her in high regard is, like we talked about in our call recently, is saying, you know what? I'm going to choose a reason in my understanding to believe about her, that she's not a whore, she's not a bitch. She's doing this because she has pain. She's doing this because she's trying to fill that tank. And so rather than cultivate a low belief about who she is, I hang on to the high regard I have for her. I try to be a person of empathy, compassion, and understanding, and I refuse for my heart to grow cold. That's the difference. Unconditional high regard means you're willing to keep the temperature of your heart towards other people warm. Now, a weak man, to be honest, can't do that. And so some men think, I have to have a cold heart towards a woman who I'm upset with. That's just the stuff unskilled lovers say, because they don't know how to keep their furnace hot when other people in the room are cold, right? But think about that, right? If somebody walks into your house and says, I'm cold, and you go check your thermostat and it's producing 80-degree heat, would you go shut your thermostat off because it's not working? No, because it's working. It's not your problem that they're experiencing coldness. It's something to be compassionate about, right? Maybe turn your furnace up, but you're not going to shut it off just because they're experiencing a crisis. So I hope that metaphor works for you. I hope you're getting a glimpse of what I'm trying to say. Escaping an emotional or physical affair is difficult. And most men, I would say 100% at first, focus on her. Focus on her, focus on her. It's a normal stage of the process. You're doing something very normal in what men do, that you find out a woman's giving emotional energy away. And when we start saying, you've got to focus on you, and you hear her saying, but she wants me to focus on her, it creates this conflict. And I get it. I understand where you're at. But you don't have to have it one or the other way. You have to improve that heat within yourself. You have to focus on being your best Mike, understanding that it is only Mike with a full tank of high regard for himself that can share that high regard with his spouse in a way that she can experience the benefit of that. That does not mean, as I said, and I know I'm starting to repeat myself, that you share all sorts of husbandly support with her. In fact, if a woman is actively involved in an affair, I would recommend you don't. And you just let her know, hey, that sounds like a husbandly thing to do, and I would love to give that to you. I'm committed to that. But see, you're not committed to only receiving that from me, and you're a little bit confused right now. And so I want you to work that out for yourself before you come to me for these things, as much as I would like to give that to you. And that's what it means to live with boundaries, to be clear about who you give the expression of your love to, right? Love is an internal state that results in action. Agape and unconditional high regard are decision and action-based love that stem from an inner reality of having an open and a warm and an accepting and appreciating heart that can look at a person with a certain viewpoint, regardless of their behavior. It's the same kind of love you have for your children, right? You don't separate yourself from your kids when they do bad things. You want better for them, but you still hang on to your love for them. I want you to start seeing her the same way. You're going to have a hard time with this, though, to a degree, until you focus on you. And so you've been in our community long enough. You've heard lots of people talk about the renewed masculine man. I think you should take a look at that, where it's going to help you clear out the gunk that's making that furnace of your heart work properly, right? We got to stoke that furnace. And we got to stoke that furnace without getting super focused on, but she's cold, but she's cold, but she's warm, but she's cold. Guys that focus on the temperature of their wives never make improvements and almost always end up divorced. And the reason for that is they're too focused on her. They're not focused on self. And it's only that restored self that makes a difference. And so I want you to consider the Renewed Masculine Man program. It's such a stupidly small investment into the rest of your life that to not do it would be kind of ripping yourself off. And it's definitely a worthwhile endeavor. Lots of guys who enter that in your state see a turnaround, and I would love to see the same for you too. All right, brother, I'll see you soon. Take care.